Now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
What is going on, everybody? Happy Monday afternoon, evening, depending on what part of the world you're watching us. We are the Dads, not always on wrestling, but this month we have been because it's WrestleMania month, and that's what we do on this show. So I am, of course, West Coast Professor Jeff Meacham, and yes, no sleep till Staples, and yes, I said Staples just for Aaron Riff, because damn it, I'm sick of the nonsense when I say the crypts. So anyway, he is the Renegade J.J. Williams. You can find him on the Twitter at RLWJ Williams, because I'm going to go ahead and plug both Twitter since they're actually both on screen at the same time. And man, JJ, it's not on Sunday. It's Saturday. 12 days, as you saw in the little bumper before we started today. 12 days until I'm literally here, probably with this general view, because considering where I'm sitting. But WrestleMania is literally on that horizon, my friend, and yes, we're officially kicking it off next month. I mean, really, this coming Saturday, we're kicking it off, big time. And we'll talk about that later. No, I'm not talking about Peter Gabriel. I was going to say I'm talking about Peter Gabriel, but, why not?
WrestleMania 23.
22, but that's okay.
22?
22, Chicago. Yes, sir. 23 was, give me a second, Saliva. Ladies and gentlemen, boom. Okay. And I only know that by heart because the one time I actually got to MC at Rocky Horror, I insisted on that being my introduction because that was the theme for WrestleMania. So.
Makes sense.
And, every once in a while I actually make some semblance of sense on this Monday afternoon.
So, but, we're already 2 minutes in and botch.
Yeah, that's okay. It is what it is. Okay. That's okay. At least it wasn't me this time.
That was for you, Noah, because you're going to have to engage in shenanigans come Saturday. But we'll get to that at the end of the show.
Yeah, poor Noah. It's bad enough we're having him call 45 shows in about 3 days. Now we're going to make him sing in the process. After calling the Impact show the day before. Because, that's what we do around here. We are slave drivers up in this bitch. Anyway. So, WrestleMania on the horizon. And I have to give credit where credit is due to the co-host extraordinaire, because top 10 WrestleMania main events. We knew WrestleMania was coming. We knew we were going to have our month of wrestling-centric topics and content all March long, because it's what we do every year. And as good as the top 10 all-time feuds was, and I'm still loving the reaction to that show as we sit here, we figured with the last DADS before WrestleMania being literally the week before WrestleMania week, okay, JJ's like, I got an idea. Last match of every year, what are our favorites? What are the top 10? I tried to engage social media as best I could, and yeah, that didn't work out so well. But I figured I'm not going to worry about that, only because I know that in the last month, you have been combing through all 41 final WrestleMania matches. God bless you, sir, because you are a workhorse when it comes to this stuff. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with for your top 10.
I'm definitely the Intercontinental Champion of this freaking multiverse of media, man. The workhorse.
Without a doubt.
I'm just thankful we don't have to do any more best matches of this show until we do Heatwave in like July.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So I've got a few months where I could just be like, okay, top 10 ECW champions, I can do that. Okay.
Yeah,
top 10 this champion, okay.
Yeah.
Top 10 TV villains, okay. It's like I don't have to worry about diving deep into anything until July.
Yeah, which is good.
Because if we're being real, there were how many heat waves? Like 6, maybe?
Maybe.
So it's like 38 WrestleManias, 41 matches, 6 heat waves.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a little bit easier.
Yeah, I think on the onset would agree that this list tore up your heart more than Heatwave, and and if you know, kids. Thank you. This shout to my dad, by the way. If nobody else understood that, that's okay. It's all good. Anyway, we are again. It's funny. I was talking with I think Aaron about this last week when he was recapping Dynamite, I think it was, and I was giddy about promotion. It's like after today, 2 days. Between now and April 6th, where at least I ain't got nothing going on content-wise. So I'm like, all right, here we go. We're on now because I was on the review yesterday. We had a bike night Saturday, so it's just a continual off we go to the races. And man, this one was difficult, I think, for me more than I thought it would be. And again, full disclosure, I don't watch them all back because they're so ingrained in my brain because I do watch every Mania every year because I'm clearly a psychopath. So it was a little bit easier to remember the matches once I saw the list that I had come up with. But it was like, okay, this one. And then I did have to go back and watch a few of them just to make sure my brain was clued in properly. And I did.
Memory was on par.
Right, exactly. And I did send JJ a screen cap of the list that was finalized as of an hour and 10 minutes before right now. So I have not touched that list. I have not done anything to it or added or amended or whatever. I do have it written down in front of me, and we have the graphics ready, of course, because we're a visual show.
Yeah. We have all 41 images loaded in right now because I didn't want to tell Jeff what I had. He didn't want to tell me what he had. Yep. And we didn't want to spend time loading stuff into the StreamYard and end up loading 18 of the same images.
Right, exactly.
So we just have them all in there from 1 to 39 or 38, excuse me.
Yes.
41 different images. And we're just going to start cranking through this shit. And
yes,
I am proud of my list because the due diligence that I did.
Absolutely.
It's, as we always say, subjective. What I like may not be what Jeff likes, may not be what you like. You may question some of my picks, and that's okay because that's what the comments are for.
That's right.
If you're watching us live over there next to Meacham, if you're watching on demand, down where? Down there.
That's right.
And we're imploring you guys. We are so looking forward to seeing your guys' feedback and comments on our lists.
Yes.
And 1 week from today, we are both going to go back into the descriptions of these videos on my channel and on his channel, and we are going to add 11 through 41.
Yep.
So you can see our entire ranking of the matches.
Yes.
We won't put 1 through 10 in the list because you watch the video, you get our 1 through 10s.
Yeah.
But we'll put 11 through 41 in the rankings. And you know what, Meech? Maybe after Mania, we'll re-edit it and see where we put the main events for this year in that list also.
I like that idea. Of course, again, Jeff has to sleep come April 6th. So, maybe we'll give it a couple days before we go, okay, let's dive back into the work. Because, to be fair, April 6th, I'm going to say April 7th, we're going back on the air with a freaking double feature from AEW. So,
no.
And then we're back off with another. Yeah, it's there will be no sleep ever again. And that's okay because it's Mania season and we don't sleep during Mania season.
No.
So, all right, brother.
Y'all may see me wiping my eyes. I thought we were silencing stuff. Y'all may see me.
I didn't even hear that. God, it's so loud.
Eyes, because I'm still tired, still trying to get all that rest. But I digress.
Yes.
As
buy that shirt, please.
Says,
yes.
Buy the shirt. I did.
Yes.
I think I'm the only one that's bought it, but that's okay.
So far.
So we're going to start off the list hard as a rock, I guess you could say.
All right.
Number 10 on my list, once in a lifetime.
Ooh, okay. Coming in hot and heavy on me here. Okay.
Rock Cena.
Oh, yeah.
I know this was not a favorite day for the Meacham half of the show.
I know.
But it was a hell of a day for me because
I know this.
I have never wavered on my adoration of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
No, I know that.
From the day I became a wrestling fan in the summer of '98, all the way up until 9:32 and however many seconds on 3/16 day as we filmed this.
Hence the text
I am still a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson fan. It is well documented when he came out to announce he was going to be the host of WrestleMania 27, that I got emotional. So
you were there, to be fair.
So
So
seeing him come back and then having this match, and then although I did not put the rematch on my top 10,
right.
going back, rewatching the rematch and reading Rocky's lips, I came back for this moment right here.
Yep.
He's telling John.
Yep.
None of that happens if we don't have him come back to be the guest host of Mania 27.
It's very true.
And you can even go back a little bit further to Rocky inducting his father and his grandfather into the Hall of Fame, and
Which is still
the
happening.
jabs that he took on Cena there
Yeah.
about the Marine.
Yeah. Yes.
But none of that happens without that moment, and then this moment where Rocky has to beat him to defeat Superman, to make him realize that he's not invincible,
Right.
to send him down that path for the next year, to get him to that rematch in that moment. And it all begins here. And I love it. And more so than the rematch, Rocky really showed that he had not lost a step in this match. I mean, people are like, well, what about match number 2? It's like, dude, Rocky did a steamboat level arm drag and a magistral cradle pinfall. You show me another Rocky match where he does that shit. God damn it.
And considering in the rematch in Jersey, he tore something during a rock bottom. He was so intense in the moment of defending the championship in the main event that he tore something in his abdomen or something during the rock bottom. And you can see on his face when he does it, he's like doing the intense scream. It's like, yeah, he fucked himself up. It's like, we found that out later, obviously. But yeah, again, I not quiet prior to the 2013 Royal Rumble about my dislike for The Rock. I won't say Dwayne Johnson. I'll say The Rock, because as an actor, it was fun to watch most of his stuff. Even he shit on Doom during that promo at 24 that was still going on now. Like I said, but
I have not watched that movie since I attempted to watch it in the drive-in.
It's rough, brother.
Thankfully, I watched it in the drive-in, so I was able to explore other options instead of watching the movie. But I'm just saying.
And you know what? Looking back now, Dewey would be like, that's fair. That's fair. He'd be like, get you some, brother. We appreciate you. Because The Rock knows what's up. The Rock says, get your shit. Okay, anyway. Going back literally this year and watching the Rivals episode on A&E of this feud, and realizing now, looking back, that the digs he took at every damn buddy in that Hall of Fame speech prior to giving the speech, because he took about 45 minutes to do the digs and about 20 seconds to actually induct his family, because
Rocky thought he was at a roast instead of a Hall of Fame ceremony.
Right? Like, god damn. Like, we tried to get up and go to Mania tomorrow, Doc. Can we please go to bed? Like, Jesus. And Flair's still got to come out here and do his shit.
Flair still has to come out to a chorus of woos for 35 minutes.
Seriously. Flair's got to come out, and Rock took so long. The Hunter's out there as a governor for Flair going, dude, Nate, we got to get to bed. Like, you got to wrestle Shawn tomorrow, dude. You got to get some sleep for real. Anyway, knowing that it was done with purpose and intent, like the seed was planted, when John was, running his mouth. Full admittance, John, was digging at Dwayne. I fully admit that myself. But, that little seed was planted where Rock dug on Marine. John gives the classic meme face. And then that's when we're off to the races for real. And people didn't really, I mean, some of us did, pick up on the nuance of that, but that was entirely done by design, every bit of it. And, when you're sitting in a crowd and you're like, oh, God, this speech taking forever, you don't realize it. But, when you look back 15 years later and go, oh, all right, got it. And, yes, The match was what it was at the end. The tailspin that John's life went into for real just happened to be after this match. So great thread weaving throughout the course of post this match. So great start. Freaking took us 13 minutes to discuss this one. So, good on.
Yeah, I'm just
Here
saying.
we go.
This is going to be the endurance episode.
Yeah, for real. It's like, that's why I said on the ECW champion, followed by Raw Mania. And I have 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific. I'll probably have to change the graphic in post to make sure we're ready to go for Raw, because it's the Raw of the week before WrestleMania. We got to make sure we get our shit in by 5.
We'll be good.
Oh, God.
So you follow up The Rock Cena, and you're like, man, you're already coming in hot and heavy.
Right?
How do you follow that?
Yeah.
I followed that with a match that, for as amazing as it was, and I sit here and it's better than Rock Cena 1.
Yeah.
Imagine how much better it could have been if the man losing the belt had been healthy.
Right?
Mania 14, Michaels Austin.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Like, you figure Austin's coming to this after the heels of that botched pile driver from Owen Hart.
Yep.
So he's already having to switch up his style from the technical wrestler that Stunning Steven the Ringmaster was into the brawling Texas rattlesnake we all know today.
Yes.
And then you've got Michaels and his jacked up back thanks to that landing onto the coffin from the Rumble. And you watch this match, and I remember the first time I watched it. I didn't know about Michaels' injury because I hadn't been a really big fan at that point.
That's fair, yeah.
And I'm watching this match, and I'm like, holy hell, this is amazing. And then I got educated about how, as amazing as that was, he was doing that with a damn near broken back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that just, what?
Yeah.
We joke about these superstars and how wrestling's fake. Rah, 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 rah. These guys are, and I'm gonna steal Roman's catchphrase here for a minute. These guys are on freaking God mode.
Yeah.
52 weeks a year, and they deserve to be acknowledged.
Yeah, they do. Absolutely.
And Shawn going in there, and Shawn was not right in the head. Shawn most definitely was not the Shawn Michaels that came back in 2002.
No.
You didn't know if Shawn was going to do the right thing or not.
Right?
Was he going to put Austin over? And the story of the match was just so amazing. And then where do we go from here? Boom, off to the races, Austin McMahon.
Yep.
Arguably the greatest rivalry in WWF history.
Yeah, we talked about it the other day or a couple weeks ago. So yeah,
it's like it all begins here.
Yep. Yeah, people always talk about WrestleMania being the start or the end of the WWF season. Man, this match was so. And this is not on my list. That's why I'm expunging on it a little bit.
That's fine. I was hoping for that. Go for it, bro.
Yeah. It's so much like Rock Cena. When you look back, you go, okay, so that's why. You look back, even with the knowledge that Shawn's going in as hurt as he is. When you go back and he makes his comeback and he does all the home video releases and the biographies or whatever, when you figure that at Royal Rumble he finished that match, you figure 2 days later he's crawling to his front door to let his papa in the front door to make sure he gets some help because he couldn't even move. He pulled out of the No Way Out match, which we talked about last month, and Savio Vega somehow is a suitable replacement for Shawn Michaels. No offense to Savio, but Jesus. In Texas, no less. Let me just throw that out there, too, because, But the things that Shawn Michaels did in this match, pilled up or not, on whatever or not.
Yeah.
Dude, seriously, just tattoo the giant Kryptonian S on his chest.
For real. Like, I want to see, and this is all in jest, but I want to see Sean's drug bill from this match to see how much shit they had to have him loaded on for him to be
Seriously.
able to get out there and wrestle for, what was it, damn near 20 minutes
Seriously, how
against
many
the
people?
Texas Rattlesnake?
It's like, how many dealers did he hit between San Antonio and Boston? Like, god damn. And you figure he went into that public workout thing, what was that, Thursday or Friday before?
Yeah.
He's already in a whole other state of mind because he's freaking walking down on the thing after getting hit in the head with a battery. To be fair, you hit in the head with a battery, I'm going to my limo too. It's where it's safe. Are you kidding me? But then he comes back out and does the whole the kiss thing with Tyson, which, again, Tyson's part in this cannot be understated because it got everybody in the media world up on this shit.
Yeah.
And I will forever, praise Vince McMahon and Mike Tyson even. It's not popular to praise either one of those two guys, but fuck it. It's our show. I don't care. But Shawn Michaels here, without Shawn Michaels being there, does the Austin era really begin, as JR called it after the match?
Yeah.
I don't think it happens near as big without him beating Shawn Michaels.
And as big of a coup as Ali was for the original WrestleMania,
yep,
Tyson was like exponentially next level for this.
And you figure,
if we're being fair, freaking Tyson had fought more recently than Ali had.
Even go
more buzzworthy.
I'll go you one better. Ali was at the first WrestleMania, and I will talk about that very briefly later. You figure that was the start of a new era for WWE as far as the WrestleMania era, as far as kicking off everything. This lovely logo from '85. Tyson, being the outside huge sports box office person like Ali was, really helped give that little push to the Austin / Attitude Era of WWE.
Mm-hmm. Big time.
Yeah.
All right. Number 8 on my list takes one person from my number 10 and one person from my number 9, and we're just going to throw them into the rematch. Mania 17, Rock Austin.
Ooh, there you go.
I've not been quiet about my love for round 3 at Mania 19, but that was not the main event.
No.
Unfortunately. Otherwise, that would probably be at this spot.
That's fair.
But out of the 2 that were main events, this was definitely the better match. Despite the shenanigans at the end and the heel turn that we just needed to bring out Agent J and K with the neuralizer and just be like, you don't remember any of that.
Just kidding. Yeah.
The match itself was awesome.
Yeah.
Period. That's the tweet.
Yeah. I will be talking about this one later in detail, so I'll go ahead.
That's fine.
But
that's fine. The ones that we share, by all means, we'll just breeze through some of these.
Yes.
I know how you do, Meacham.
Yes.
So,
and again, like I said, neither one of us know what's coming, which is why we have to on the fly. But I actually prefer it to be okay, we gotta adjust on the fly, which is the way it should be. So call it in the ring.
Damn right. Number 7 on my list contains a man who did not know how to call it in the ring. He had to rehearse everything.
But you know what? It's okay. Yes.
Mania 4 finals. The $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and the Macho Man, Randy Savage.
Yes.
And this is the oldest match on my list.
Okay.
I will tell you, the Mania 1 main event hovered at number 10 for a long time.
Really? Wow.
Because I felt like you had to acknowledge where everything began.
Right, that makes sense.
I will throw this out. It's definitely an honorable mention. It clocks in at number 11. It just
wow.
my top 10.
Wow.
Because, and before I get back to my actual pick, you got to take in the spectacle of everything. It's where everything started. It was the standard bearer forever.
It was.
So to figure that I only thought that 10 matches were better than it out of 41 says a lot, considering how much I am anti-Hogan. But DiBiase Savage, it was a mat classic.
It was.
It was the first technical main event.
Yeah.
You figure Piper Orndorff versus Hogan and T. Nope. Hogan Bundy. Nope. Hogan Andre. Nope.
Hogan Andre got negative stars from Big Dave. Let's put it that way. Because it was such a technical cluster.
Number one, and here's our one for the show. Fuck Big Dave.
Oh, I understand that.
Number two, it's not what that match was about.
Well, no, of course not. No. And I'm not saying it is. So
but this match right here, I implore anybody who considers them to be a true catch-as-catch-can professional wrestling fan, go back and watch this main event.
Absolutely.
This is just amazing.
Yeah.
And I love this. And I talked about it a little bit when I did my Price of Fame review.
Yes.
But Ted DiBiase is one of those guys who, although a huge star in that era of the WWF, gets lost in the shuffle when you talk about him because he wasn't the persona of a Hogan, a Warrior, a Savage, a Piper, an Andre.
Giant. Yeah. Yep.
You know, it's almost Paul Roma syndrome. ... DiBiase.
Yeah, and
when
that's such a shame.
About all the characters that were there at the time.
Yep.
And DiBiase does not get the credit he deserves.
No.
So that's part of why I'm trying to push this so hard. Go back, rewatch that match.
Yep.
There's a reason Jeff put him with the belt in the picture, people. Do your homework. See, look. Here's a notebook and a pen.
He does his homework on research. This. Yeah. I have pushed for years, and DiBiase himself finally jumped on the wagon about 2-3 years ago about he should be recognized as a former WWF champion.
And I put it in my review.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And I really appreciate that, by the way. And I appreciate using the graphic I made, even though it's 41 matches. This is the only one that didn't have one that I had to actually make it. And damn it, I'm proud of that because you know what? In my opinion, DiBiase goes into the tournament defending the championship. He is freaking straight Young Bucks and DDT 3 or whatever the hell they call that damn tournament. DDT 4, sorry, whatever it was. He is defending the title throughout the whole tournament. And damn it, that's how it should be.
That's right.
So that's why he's wearing the belt in that graphic because that's how I feel. And this isn't on my list, but
I'm surprised.
Man, it is, like you said, it is a major transition from the spectacle as the main event to, yes, it is a grand spectacle because Hogan's out there, Andre's out there, it's Trump Plaza, it's the whole thing. But it's still a technical masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
And even Hogan Savage a year later, while still very emotional, very storyline driven, also was arguably Hogan's best WrestleMania main event in terms of match quality.
Yeah. Same
with Hogan Warrior. Both those guys had the two muscleheads had a great technical match. No, it's not going to get, freaking the 5 stars or whatever, but for what it was and what it could have been, those two really went to town. Yep. And it kind of set the tone for, okay, so we have a grand moment, Hogan and Andre, the biggest match of all time, but technically it sucks from the back. So let's see if we can balance things out. And for the most part, I think the main events have been a good balance of the two since then. So great that it's on your list. I appreciate it. And again, thank you for the graphic love. I appreciate that too, because it's the only one. I even found the damn Undertaker Sid one that was on television. Like, damn it, I looked hard for that mucker father, and I found it. So,
anyway. So that was number 7.
Yes.
And that was the oldest match on my list.
Yes.
Coming in at number 6 is the most recent match on my list.
Okay.
And when I click it, it should not surprise anybody. Mania 37.
There you go.
Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair.
All right.
I cannot sing the praises of this match enough. And
definitely.
People are going to be what they want to be as far as Sasha Banks, Mercedes Varnado, Mercedes Money, Monet, however you want to call her these days.
Yes.
But God damn it, you want to talk about a classic and a spectacle rolled into one.
Yep.
The very first all black, all African American, however you want to call it, main event in WrestleMania history.
Yep.
Let alone its 2 women, the very first one-on-one women's main event in WrestleMania history. Because the 35 one's a triple threat.
Yep.
And these 2 ladies went out there, tore the house down, and had Bianca not lost the belt at SummerSlam to the returning man, Becky Lynch.
Right.
I think that reign could have been even better than it was. But that girl's got her makeup right now.
Yeah.
She is currently the longest reigning black singles champion in WWE history. Period.
That's true. That's very true.
On Vontavious Porter's record at 433 days with his United States title run.
Yep.
343, excuse me.
No, you're good.
Twisted the numbers around.
Yeah, it's okay.
But, I mean, it's just so good. I cannot say enough good things, especially about Bianca. Sasha is what she is. So
as we're taping this now, yes.
Some people, at that time, flawless.
Even after having even after having sat on that little timeout she took the year prior because of the tag title loss, she came back and stepped up her game. Goes into Mania as a champion, main events, the first night. So it's definitely. And again, I will be talking about this one later as well. It's on my list, as it should be. Yeah. I'll say more, but again, great that it's on both our lists because, damn it should be.
So that's the bottom half of my list.
Right?
We now, and you want to talk about the heavy hitters that are there. It's like, what's better than Rock Austin? What's better than Michaels Austin? What's better than Rock Cena?
Right.
I mean, there's so much good there. How do you top those?
Yeah, that's
number 5, starting the second half of my list, is a match that wasn't supposed to be. Because it was supposed to be a rematch from the year prior. But somebody got hurt.
Oh, nice.
Yes, the Raw match is better, blah, 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 but the Raw match isn't the WrestleMania fucking main event. There's number 2 for the day.
We're not on my list yet.
Shawn Michaels did something for John Cena that John Cena desperately needed.
Yep.
He brought out that side that had been dormant in John for years.
Yep.
Hunter kind of brought it out the year prior,
Yeah.
but not to the extent that Shawn did here in this match.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you had the whole they were tag champs going into the match,
Right.
having that run. It was so good.
It was. And I'll also expunge on this one later. But
I'm sure. And once again, Cena kicking off part of my list. He kicked off the bottom half of my list.
Yeah.
He's kicking off the top half of my list.
Yeah, John popped up a lot more than I thought he would. I'm not gonna lie on my list. It's one of the, and again, it's not trying to be biased. It's just I was surprised that he was on as much as he was.
This is the last time John will appear on my list, but the fact that he started both halves of my list, I think, says exponentially positive things about as much shit as I give the man who cannot be seen. Right, Rhea Ripley? As much shit as I give him, I can still at least respect him.
Yes, exactly.
Enough to put him twice on my list.
Yeah.
His cohort in this match, he's got a couple more times he's going to pop up. I mean,
he is
Mr. WrestleMania.
Yeah. So yeah, both John's only on my list twice, believe it or not, and they're actually back to back. So this is one of them. The other one is what it will be. But yeah, you figure with Hunter, the crowd was very much almost universally one-sided against John.
Yeah.
And stayed that way the whole match.
And Hunter was the heel going in.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Hunter is not even showing that minor glimmer of DX until during this match with it, not during this match, during the match with John the previous year. Like, he's not even showing that DX may possibly be a thing. So he's going in here, cocky heel, and anyway. Shawn goes in as the favorite in Mr. WrestleMania. He's defending his buddy's, spot pretty much that was supposed to be Hunter's. And to John's credit, John was able to get the crowd at least with him by the end. So I applaud that part of it. But I'll talk more about all that shit later. Yes. So
number 4 on my list. I've just got one word for you.
Okay.
WrestleMania.
Oh, look at that. I love it.
And yes, as I watched it back, I did it again.
Hell yes.
And played the final countdown for Bryan's entrance.
Absolutely.
And was in tears come the end of the match.
Absolutely.
This match was it was almost carbon copy of a match that had happened 10 years prior that will be discussed in a few moments.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, just a beautiful moment at the end for Bryan. Again, the guy that shouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
Overcoming all the odds, beating Triple H earlier in the evening, defeating Randy and Batista in the main event. All 3 members of Evolution vanquished.
Yep.
And he becomes the champion. It's
no, dude. Consider, and again, memory refresher, please. At SummerSlam 2013 or no?
No,
sir. Okay, didn't think so.
10, 11, and 12.
Okay. So figure, and again, I'm gonna talk more about the match later, but the moment it's really planted at SummerSlam, and you figure how far back both of us go with Bryan and how much that SummerSlam win over John Cena meant to everybody in our circle. And you talk about long-term, deep, threaded storytelling. man, SummerSlam to Mania. It doesn't get much longer other than Rock Cena.
Yeah.
Figure a year. So to tell a story from SummerSlam to WrestleMania even in 2014 was a special thing to do. And when you think about it, Jay, you really pretty much checked out not too long after this WrestleMania. So for you to have this on your list is not surprising just because it's Bryan. It's also not surprising considering this was the last really good WrestleMania, really good WWE year that you gave the company even a glimmer of, okay, I'll keep watching. So
this was the night that the streak ended.
Yep.
And the American Dragon rose.
Yeah. Yep.
Think about that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm not talking specifically to you. I'm talking to the audience. Think about that.
Exactly.
The same night that the streak ended, the Yes Movement finally vanquished the Authority.
Yeah. We talk a lot about end of an era from 2012 and how it should have been the end for real. Imagine if Bryan stays healthy, man. Oh, just you figure Undertaker's done. Triple H is mostly an office person at this point. Michaels is done. Austin wouldn't come back to wrestle for another almost 10 years himself. And that was one match, maybe. So many things were defined by wrestle. Again, we talk about wrestling. The tens being where things begin again. And if Bryan stays healthy, it's another example of that. It just didn't work that way, unfortunately. Yeah. But yes, we'll definitely talk about this later. And based on what you just said about another match, we'll be talking about that one later for both of us. So there you go.
Coming in at number 3 is the match that a couple weeks ago on open mic night was reigning at my number 1 spot.
Okay. Yeah.
Which means that 2 matches were able to knock it down.
And only in a couple weeks. That's pretty good. Yes. Oh, man. So good.
The Iron Man match between Bret and Shawn.
You talk about technical masterpiece.
Yeah, right? and I love James to death. He's gone on record as saying that MJF versus Bryan is the greatest Iron Man match of all time. I don't know about all that.
Yeah, I mean,
because and the reason I say that is because different times, different eras.
Absolutely.
I mentioned on our Revolution recap, which you can see on my channel, Simple Man Brand, or the Jay Hebert side of things.
Yes.
I mentioned that if you put this match in front of that AEW crowd, it's garbage.
Yeah.
But at the same token, if you put Bryan versus Max in front of this WrestleMania crowd, it's garbage.
For different reasons. Yeah. I mean,
because the styles and the times changed so much.
Yeah, I agree.
This is the era where we're just starting to come off the cartoony Duke the Dumpster Drozy and the Goon and Men on a Mission and Doink the Clown, and we're starting to get out of that. We're starting to get into a little bit more serious. We still had a lot of room to grow.
Yes.
But this was the beginning of that.
Yes.
This was the beginning of, hey, we're taking our shit seriously now. You should take us seriously too.
It was really the start
of 60 minutes in the Arrowhead Pond of Anaheim, F the Honda Center. Much like you said, F the Crypt.
Well, I mean, it had to. Yeah.
In the Arrowhead Pond of Anaheim, these 2 men showed up and showed out.
They did.
And it's matches like this and moments like this that make me wish I had been a wrestling fan 3 years prior, because I probably would have been here for this.
Yeah, I was
and been able to see it live.
Yep.
As opposed to Mania 21, which is what it is. And you notice none of those matches are on my list. And they're still not going to come up in the next two either. So, spoiler, yeah.
Yeah. With as much respect as we can give to Batista and all the respect to Hunter, yeah, we're not going to see that match.
Batista needs to be thanking his lucky stars he made my top 10. And it's only because it was WrestleMania.
That's fair. That's fair.
Jesus Christ. Half the match he was probably in the parking lot nailing Melina again. But I digress.
Fuck, here we go. Hey, I am surprised. And again, we haven't done number 2 and number 1 yet for you, but the fact that Orton is on your list once, and honestly, he had what, 2 final matches at WrestleMania? And the other one was what it was because of the pigeonholing of it. So, yeah, Big Dave and Randy definitely owe Brian a shit ton of gratitude for being on our list at all. Anyway.
Brett versus Sean, much
Yes.
like I said for DiBiase Savage, if you consider yourself a student of the game, you owe it to yourself to go back and watch these matches and study the storytelling of 60 minutes. You could not have an Iron Man match today go 60 minutes without a decision.
No way.
The crowd would crap all over it.
Which is a shame.
You could have matches go into overtime, much like we did at Revolution.
Yes.
But you cannot have a match go 60 minutes with no pinfall.
Yep.
I don't think that there is a feud out there that is so intense, and you figure at this point they still actually kind of liked each other. There's no feud out there that is this intense that can go that long with no pinfall. And the crowd will be okay with it.
Yeah.
The closest thing I could think of right now, and that's only because as we're filming this, Dynamite aired last night and I was able to watch it and everything. Moxley Page.
Yeah.
Maybe because they would just be beating each other so senseless. Maybe they could go that long in a match without a pinfall.
But
you're not going to see either of them in an Iron Man match, let alone so quickly after they just did one a couple weeks ago.
Right, and considering how long they've been beating each other up as it is, it's funny you mentioned all the characters and everything going into WrestleMania 12 and how they were moving away from that. It almost sounds like you were saying the WWF was really starting to show a little bit more attitude, but that's a whole other that's all. But when you think about it, curtain calls 2 months later.
Yeah.
And that's really where people go,
So from there, we go to the match that I alluded to a few minutes ago. Number 2.
So it's not number 1. Okay. All right. Yes.
Triple H defending against Michaels and Chris Benoit.
Yeah. Jeez.
Chris Benoit.
Should put his name back on there for you. Chris Benoit. Make sure people can spell it because
should have re-edited the picture so that he was like right in the middle, like in front of everybody's face.
That's right.
But yes, WrestleMania 20, where Chris Benoit became the WWE World Heavyweight Champion before the belt magically was able to float into Toronto, where Randy Orton walked out in those god-awful peach trunks, picked up the belt in the middle of the ring, hit the turnbuckle, and started posing with it. Had to get the shtick in. Hashtag stick to my shtick.
Damn it.
Over here, Walter now.
Anyway.
God. As good as WrestleMania was, this is better.
Yeah. Yep.
And moments aside, because obviously Brian winning the belt, our buddy, is a bigger moment, especially for us on a personal level,
right,
than Benoit winning the belt. But triple threats are always, you talk about it all the time. Triple threats are so cluster effy anyways.
Yep.
This showed that a triple threat could be done well in the main event. Keep everybody involved. Keep everybody on the edge of their seat Whereas for the majority of the one 10 years later, it's one-on-one the entire time.
Yep.
This one, yeah, you had those spots of one-on-one, but all three men managed to stay involved throughout the entire show and the entire match. There wasn't as much rest time for some of them as there was in 30.
Definitely not.
And then, again, here goes to me knocking Big Dave. When you figure who one of the people is, you're going to need the rest time.
Well, yes, on that, if that would have been the thing, he didn't get near as much rest time as Bryan did, though, because they took Bryan out with injury, the two of them. So, it's, but then, yeah, this one, you're right. Not only are they doing all that, they're doing it with the Garden crowd, which is always a tough room. Especially, they're hardcore WWF fans. They're not overly fond of Shawn Michaels in that building. It is what it is. At that point, I think it softened a little bit on Shawn because, Shawn had earned his shit because, man, he went through Survivor Series with Sid and just got pooped on, really, yeah. So, again, I will also discuss this a little bit later, but, man, you talk about and again, Jeff says triple threat matches. Yeah, I actually have two of them. I technically have three if you really want to get technical about it. But man, the story as well as the match just.
Yeah, and then again, the moment at the end,
mm-hmm.
The confetti falling, Benoit hitting the turnbuckle, posing, coming down, and Eddie's in the ring.
Yeah.
And he throws his belt over his shoulder, applauds his best friend. They embrace.
Yep.
And Eddie raises his arm up, jumping up and down the ring like, that's my fucking buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. Much like the promo backstage, I believe, Chris. And he's like, I told you I believe. He's doing the whole point. It's so.
But when he says the promo backstage, you don't know if you believe him.
Right.
Because they had their issues going into the match.
Yeah.
So you don't know if he's being sarcastic, Eddie, or if he's being sincere, Eddie.
Right.
But then that moment hits and you see him out there and he's in tears too.
Yeah. And you call WrestleMania 20 the last great WrestleMania. I don't know if that's still the case for you. So forgive me if that's not the case anymore. But
I'm still going to stand by that until I can go back and watch 31 through 37 top to bottom. Because I still haven't seen most of those completely.
Right.
But yes, as of 10/15 on 3/16 day,
there you go.
I still stand by that statement.
Fair enough.
Top to bottom, bell to bell. Yes, even Lesnar Goldberg, still the greatest WrestleMania of all time for my money.
And the reason I bring that up is because, Eddie's in, tears over Chris. Obviously, you got to remember the fandom as well as the superstars are coming off that emotional over he and Kurt Angle, over Undertaker returning and vanquishing Kane, the match before this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Garden crowd was allowed to come down.
No.
For that show. So, no. And you know what? Sometimes with the Garden, you got to do that.
At this point, you needed a freaking bullshit Divas Battle Royal just so everyone could go take a leesky, get something to drink, and be like,
right. Okay. I can't handle this, Eddie, with the thing. And then Undertaker's
where's
back.
Big Show Akibono when we need him?
That was the next year. Sorry for you, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know.
And that wasn't even second to last, like a little buffer between the two. They had that and the two world title matches, and then both matches still sucked. So, again, hug for everybody that's at WrestleMania 21. We love you, folks. We do. We do.
So if this isn't number one, which you assumed it would be.
Yeah, I did.
What could possibly be better than WrestleMania 20? Because it had to come after Mania 20.
Yeah, because that was that's fair.
Career versus streak.
Oh man. Okay. Wow. That's
as much as I prefer 25 personally.
Well, yeah.
That wasn't the main event.
It was not.
this was. And man, I forget on what show you talked about it, Jeff, but you mentioned once they began making a big deal about Undertaker having a streak and never being defeated at WrestleMania, there were so many spots in the matches where you believed it was going to end.
Yeah. Yep.
None more so than this match.
Okay.
We're talking main events.
I know. I'm
none more so than this match.
Also on my list. I'm trying to.
That's fair.
For framing it in a way where I'm trying not to.
That's fair.
But
I mean, it's arguably Taker's greatest match at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, clearly it's my number one.
Yeah.
But we're also only going off of main events.
Right. Exactly.
So arguably, you factor everything else that he's done, Taker's greatest match at Mania, which again, personally, I'd probably put 25 over this.
Well,
but that's just me personally.
We'll say his greatest main event at WrestleMania.
Well, unfortunately, Taker's only had like 3 main events.
Hey, still.
So, I mean, as far as greatest main event, abso-freaking-lutely, because you figure one of them is Psycho Sid, and the other one's a cinematic masterpiece.
Okay. Roman also.
So there's more than 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you agreed when I said 3. But
anyway. Well, I'm just going off the top of my head, but yeah.
So okay, he's had a few more than that, but
I will still say that, as far as in the ring and the story that evolved, this is his best main event outing in WrestleMania.
And again, Shawn Michaels. I mean, he's Mr. WrestleMania for a reason, people. He's half of my list has a Shawn Michaels in it.
Yes.
5 of my 10 have him in there.
Mr. WrestleMania, like you said.
He is that for a reason.
Exactly.
The long-term storytelling in this match. Because you figure you go back 3 years to where they're the last 2 of the Rumble.
Yep.
Then you go to the year after where they're number 1 and 2 in the Rumble. Then you go to the Mania 25 match. Then you go to this.
Yep.
Then you go to Undertaker the following year. Then you go to Hell in a Cell the year after that.
They're all on there. Yeah.
So really, this is a story that went for 6 years because Hunter challenges him to try to get revenge for what Taker did to his buddy. 6 years worth of story for this.
But it could have been the end of it. Couldn't have been ended at 20-0. It couldn't do that. It couldn't give him that one.
Well, 21-0. Because Punk was 21.
But what I'm saying is,
I see what you're saying because the other one was end of an era.
Yeah, and with all the flowers I will give to Punk for carrying that and for honoring Percy, unnecessary.
Fair.
20-0 should have been 20-0. That
20-0 should have been 20-0. 21-0 should have been 21-0 because everybody knows, much like how the house always wins and you always bet on black, 22 is a bust.
Yeah, exactly. Good analogy. I like that. That was good.
So when he went into that match, I already was smelling something.
Really? Interesting.
And then you figure who he was fighting.
Yeah.
And, not to get off into a sub-tangent here, but if Brock doesn't beat him, the NCAA Division I heavyweight champion of the world, the former UFC champion, legitimate fighting athlete.
Yep.
Nobody ever beats him.
Right.
Period.
No, you're right. And it's
if the most legitimate athlete to fight Undertaker at WrestleMania, because there's Kurt, Olympic gold medal, cannot defeat the Undertaker at WrestleMania, right, he never loses. Because anything else is like, how is Roman going to beat him a
Brock
couple years
could.
later,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Brock couldn't.
But again, to talk about, you always talk about that butterfly effect, that pulling that thread. Does Roman Undertaker even happen without the streak dying in the first place? So again.
Does Cena get squashed in 2 minutes?
Yeah. Well, when you go back and watch the last year
If the
documentary,
streak
that was
if the streak hasn't ended, because Taker had to go out there and be like, God damn it.
Yeah. And again, that was supposed to go longer. They cut his time. If you watch the documentary, they cut that time. Which, they cut a John Cena time. Yeah, they did. True story.
They were supposed to cut their time for these matches.
Exactly.
But they were like, no.
Yeah.
There's too much story here. No.
Yeah.
So yeah, number one, streak versus career.
Okay. Well, we'll throw a little trailer here, but real quick. But yeah, I'm surprised at where that one landed compared to the other ones I thought would land. So, but I applaud. Very good. Yeah. So before we get into my shenanigans, speaking of shenanigans,
I was gonna say we're talking about WrestleMania, Jeff.
Oh God.
WrestleMania, the kickoff party official begins in less than a week.
Yeah. You figure at this point, yeah, it's going to be about 7:00 by the time we actually hit this point. So yeah, it's.
So let's take a look at everything that's going to be coming up on the Jeff Meacham Network multiverse of media for WrestleMania week.
Like you said, man, it's less than a week away when you figure what time it is on the show right now. I'm so stoked, man. And again, we've got open mic night coming up that we'll talk more about later on, and we've got the watch along on Friday, and just there's so much going on. It's crazy. I'm ready for it, man. And I will say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We share 6 this time.
Not bad.
And surprisingly, none of them in the same placement.
That doesn't surprise me.
Okay.
But because everything is so subjective. I mean,
yes.
Honestly, the only match where I thought we might share the same placement was number 1. But I'm curious to see what else you've got on there that might be your number 1, right, if that's not it.
Which is not. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Obviously. So.
I mean, but you talk about WrestleMania. We talk about everything being just less than a week away. And I joked with you a while back in our private chat. I'm full-blown Jesse Spano right now.
Right?
I'm so excited, but I am so scared. And more nervous than scared, but I mean, you got
I got
joke there. The
yeah. It's
a year ago. I was just a guy participating on the channel, open mic nights, here and there, doing dads, whatever. A year later, I'm going to be sitting here virtually alongside the simple man with the spectacular voice, Noah Foster. And I'm going to be calling the action with him. We're going to be doing the Hall of Fame together. We're going to be doing Stand and Deliver. We're going to be doing both nights of Mania. And then me and you are going to do the Raw after Mania.
Right?
after the East Coast feed with Noah and James.
Yeah, it's
I would not have imagined a year ago
no.
that I would be sitting here, Jerry Lawler to good old JR
Well,
for
jeez,
Wrestle freaking Mania.
I know. It is crazy how I go back and I watch WrestleMania 33, and this isn't one of the ones on my top 10, so I can talk about it just for a brief second. And having Undertaker peel off that attire and leave it in the middle of the ring, and me being resolved then, this is 2017, to being done with the wrestling podcast part of my life. I was over it. No more talk wrestlings, no more any of that stuff. And man, I think about how much the world has changed. God, I get choked up in 6 years, and how I've been able to find the balance between having I say regular job, working at Disney, it's not actually a regular job, but and doing this, and it's like people ha me that, dude, you're living the dream. You've been wanting to do your whole adult life. You're working, making money off wrestling, and you're making money in the real world. It's like, yeah, actually I am. And it's scary.
And not just any real world, you're making money from Disney and you're
Yeah.
making money from wrestling. Like, if there could have been a better bookend for a Jeff Meacham employment story,
Right.
you're making money off of the mouse,
Yeah.
who's probably the only other thing other than the Kings that you've loved more than wrestling,
Yeah.
longer than
Exactly.
wrestling,
Yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
making money off of wrestling.
Yeah. And the fact that the money from the mouse is helping me make the money off the wrestling and be able to, be here in a few days. It's a mind fuck, dude. It really
I believe
is.
it.
It really is.
But we digress.
Yes, please buy that shirt though, because we still need to make some money off that damn website.
And if you don't buy it, that's bullyism.
That's yeah. By the way, Pro Wrestling Tees, come on, you guys are killing me.
TikTok.
That's
TikTok.
right. TikTok. I won't send Scott after you though, because she's too pretty for you. I will send Cross after your asses though, because I'm just that cruel.
So unless there's something else.
Well, I actually was gonna. I know we didn't. I know if you wanted to, do this after, or you want to do it before, I do mine. I did have honorable mentions, and I know we're gonna have our actual rankings that are gonna go up in the description a week from now. But I did want to talk about stuff that didn't make my top 10. I only had 4. I'll be very brief.
Okay, I mean, if you want to, I just figured that, and this could be a cop out if you really want.
No,
Even the shittiest WrestleMania main events,
right,
everything that wasn't in my top 10 is an honorable mention.
right, and
because it was worthy enough by Vince McMahon and the people that did creative and booked at the time.
all right,
that was supposed to be the last thing we saw.
Right. And I don't disagree with that.
So that was just going to be my honorable mentions, was going to be everything that wasn't in my list. But if you have a few specific ones that you want to pinpoint, then go ahead.
Yeah. And I only have them for very, very specific reasons and very subjective reasons. The first one, I mean, it is what it is. It's the first one. Without this, it's funny. We talked a lot of work about, it all started with the mouse and it's the 100th anniversary of the company and all that. People kind of sleep on Snow White and the success of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and how, yes, without Walt moving to California, without him and Roy forming the company, without Mickey, there's no anniversary celebration. But without Snow White being a success as it was as a full-length feature, same situation. We're not sitting here 100 years, or at that point, for them, it would have been, just over 90 years later. We're not sitting here, right? With these guys, yes, Hogan had come back the year before, or year and a half before, and blew the world up in the Northeast. Blew the world up because MTV was a thing. But without WrestleMania hitting the mark on everything across the board that it needed to in 85. There's no WWE. There's no Jeff Meacham Network. There's no Dads Not Always on Wrestling. There's none of this stuff because wrestling probably doesn't get where it is. That's the only reason I said that for that one. I would be remiss if I didn't mention this, even though the finish was what it was and didn't make either of our lists proper. Having the women in a main event was so revolutionary, even in 2019. But it was still so awesome for me as a longtime proponent and briefly promoter of women's wrestling. So I wanted to give the three of them their flowers on that one. And yes, one of these main events was what it was. The other one I thought was way better, but the two I was at. WrestleMania 24, Edge Undertaker, again, not on my proper top 10 list, but I got to see a streak match, and I got to see the Rated R superstar defend the World Championship at WrestleMania, and it was with my dad, who's Undertaker's his all-time favorite, and I get to meet the Undertaker 2 weeks from this last Saturday. God damn, dude. Anyway, Fatal 4-Way, Anaheim, it was what it was. The whole Mania was what it was for the most part, but yeah, just, I'd be faulty if I didn't mention those matches.
That's fair. And you are the one that got to see Ice-T bring the Godfather and D'Lo Brown to the ring, so gotta acknowledge that.
Yeah, I do get to see it, even though the network doesn't let you see it anymore.
I know, which is horrible. Thank God I've got it on DVD.
Dude, I get the VHS, and I'm glad for it. I can't watch the damn thing, but at least I know it exists. Damn it. All right, my list proper. Yes.
What is your top 10?
So number 10 was on your list. It's one of the ones we share, but definitely not in the same spot. Again, it is a monumental thing on so many levels. It's the first all African American, black, whatever. I don't know what terminology is proper these days, so forgive me. It's the first one-on-one all-female WrestleMania main event. It is the first main event of a two-night Mania in front of people. Let's not forget that, because yes, we had the two matches the previous year that main evented, but that was in front of whoever could be in the PC without getting sick at that point. But man, you think about where both of them are a year later. Bianca's regaining the championship at WrestleMania. Sasha and Trinity or Naomi are winning the tag titles. And then they're not.
Yeah.
Because they're gone.
And granted,
Mercedes, hey, you know what? Made her way into my other employment side. We talk about, making money off both things. She's making money off the mouse too, so God bless her. Yeah, granted, she's making money in a galaxy far, far away off the mouse, but she is, it is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way. That's right. And we still know about Trinity as we're taping this right now at 10:30 on 316 day. Or 10:36. I want to be accurate. But in this moment, you've got Bianca Belair, who is just really starting to get that groove. And she has not come out of it in 2 years at all. She has been on all cylinders every step of the way. And even Sasha, who at that point already had one of her little timeouts and was a year away from another one. During this period, she was the SmackDown champion. She went in with the momentum, and these two had an unbelievable night one main event in front of people who, were iffy about, being at a live event at this point, and just were kind of iffy all night about WrestleMania. And these two delivered and sent us home from Saturday going, man, how in the hell are freaking Roman and Edge and Bryan going to have to try to touch this? Because as great as that turned out to be, not on our list.
Yeah.
So.
And correct me if I'm wrong, sir. If I'm wrong, I'll totally own it because I wasn't really watching at this point.
Right.
Bianca's the first and to date only NXT superstar to win the Rumble, correct? Because I remember seeing on her Trons behind her in the hype package leading up to this, and then even at Mania, still said the EST of NXT. Did she win the Rumble as an NXT participant and then challenge Sasha? Or had she already jumped to the roster by that point?
I'm pretty sure she'd already jumped to the main roster at that point. And again, this is me trying to remember even 2 years ago with the foggy that it is. But I'm 90%. I'm saying 90. I'm saying 90% sure she'd already jumped up because you figure Charlotte and Rhea the year before was Bianca at NXT. You don't even go here. So I'm pretty sure that all three of them had already definitely Charlotte was, and I'm pretty sure Rhea was on her way up, but I think Bianca had already jumped to the main roster. Either way, she's definitely the EST of the entire company at this point. I mean, like you said, she's the longest reigning Black champion in WWE history. Period. End of sentence.
Singles champion.
Singles champion, to be fair. That's
the New Day still have the tag record.
And if somebody touches that at this point, God damn it, no. That's a long time for one title reign. Lordy.
If anyone can do it.
Yes. Well, okay. So here's my argument, and we're going to go into a side tangent really briefly. Is Roman not considered part of that community?
He's Samoan.
Just some. That's true because Rock is half black because of Rocky Johnson. That's fair. Okay, that's right. I'm like, they're cousins. I forgot. Rocky Johnson's the wild card. What a surprise. Fucking Rocky Johnson. Anyway, watch Young Rock. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It's not most of that's not far off.
Jeff.
Yes, sir.
I
know.
Okay. Number 9, Meacham.
So
number
9 is
number
yes.
9. Did that one for my daughter if she happens to watch.
I appreciate you. Not on your list.
Okay.
But it does feature participants in a match that will A, come up later on my list, and B, that was on your list. Now, my list is much more about the story behind as well as the match itself. Because you figure the story behind this one is everything.
Yes.
It literally you mentioned it when you talked about Austin and Michaels the year before. You know, Austin wins the championship. Vince had gone on TV the week prior. You know, I don't want Austin to be champion, and he wins. And the entirety of the time between March 30th, 1998 and March 20th, 1999 is all about McMahon and Austin.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't matter how many other people got involved. The story was Vince versus Steve. It was Tommy versus Raven on a global stage. Because there were about 45 people in that Tommy Dreamer versus Raven feud over the 2 years they were running with each other. But at the end of the day, it all came down to those two people. Now, is Vince McMahon a full-time wrestler? No. Is he going to main event WrestleMania on his own against Steve? No. Did the month before, but that was a B show in February, which apparently aren't such B shows anymore. Anyway,
it did give us the debut of Paul White, who between that show and this show had already turned face heel about 37 times. That's
true. And still didn't take near big pictures with Mickey as I did that period. So there you go. There is that. Even 99, I was still doing that shit. That was still the gimmick, brother. Gotta do the gimmick. But not only was it Austin McMahon, it was the evolution of the guy that when you started watching, luckily it shed the Jerry curl by this point. but He was the ruler of a faction. And he went from that, even at that point, he was already winning the crowd over. And then he wins them over more, and he sheds the nation, and he goes into Survivor Series, and he's going to win. He's going to battle the evil empire and the corporate chosen one of Mick Foley, which sounds so funny now saying that. And then, nope, just kidding. Rock's our guy. Rock's the corporate heel. Rock's the corporate chosen one, the corporate elbow, the corporate eyebrow. Like,
and they said it so beautifully on his documentary. You take away the power from the people.
yes.
The people's elbow, the people's eyebrow, the people's champion.
Yep.
And you make that corporate.
Yeah. And what's so funny is even still, people were still applauding him, which is why the whole Mick Foley thing was introduced, because they had to get people to the point that they were frothing at the mouth by the time they go into Philly, which Philly crowd ain't that hard to do with anyway. Crazy freaking Broad Street bullies.
But they still didn't succeed to the level that they probably felt they needed to, because Rocky is just that charismatic of a guy. That's why I never really wavered from him.
Exactly.
I came in and he was going into that ladder match with Hunter.
Yeah.
And yeah, I saw the slow build for him becoming a baby face. And I saw him become corporate champion. And for a split second, I maybe had that Rocky why reaction, but then he gets on the microphone and he does his thing, and you're like,
it's making sense.
We talk about it all the time with villains. The best villains are the ones that feel that they are in the right.
Yep.
The ones that feel they are doing things for the right reason. And while he had already cut that promo about a year or so earlier, when he brought up I've got 3 words for you, die, Rocky, die, again after he had turned corporate, it's like, it makes so much sense. And you can't hate on him for what he's done, because the fans made him that way. Yep. He just lured them into that false sense of security.
Yeah.
And then the minute he had them right where he wanted them.
Yep. Yeah. The Rock didn't do anything different between SummerSlam 98 and Survivor Series 98 that would make people believe it was a babyface turn.
No.
It was just organic. Well, we like you now. It's like, this motherfucker was literally getting ready to do the bad thing with China while she was restrained. Y'all gonna cheer for me? Okay, cool.
I mean, it's just something that happens sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
The best example I can give of that right now, and it's not the main roster, you got to go down to the developmental territories. Right. Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah, exactly.
Go back to a year ago when I started watching.
Yep.
And look at the heat he got.
Yeah.
And then you go back and you watch the contract signing with Braun Breaker from this week, and the crowd is chanting, "Save us, Melo."
Right? That was intriguing as hell to me. Anyway.
I mean, again, side tangent or not, but you want to talk about another guy who's got that Rocky charisma that just turned the crowd, because he says what he's going to do and goes out there and does it.
Yep.
There you go. That is your new breed, your next generation Rock.
Yes. There is no more effective heel than a heel that not only says what he says, but means what he says.
And does what he says. Yep.
And
Trick Williams, love me some Trick too. That's basically his Mark Henry.
Yeah, for real.
That's his heavy there to make sure that he gets his job done. If he starts to slip, takes care of something, has a match here or there.
Yep.
Think about Mark Henry in the Nation. He wasn't wrestling all the time.
No. Nope.
He was that imposing presence, the world's strongest man.
Exactly.
Trick Williams for Mello. But we digress.
Yes. With Rock Austin, like I said, the match, it's only number 9 because the match got better.
Yeah.
2 years later, and like I said, it's coming up later.
And 2 years after that,
it got even better. It just wasn't the last match, which is why it's not going to be on this show. But
some people say 17's better than 19. I say 19's better than 17, but everybody universally agrees 15's the worst of the trilogy.
It very much is, and it's only, like I said, my list is very much more subjective when it comes to the story behind it as well as the match, which is why 15 makes my list.
It's Star Trek the motion picture. Then we go to the Wrath of Khan.
That's a fair argument, although this is way better than motion picture turned out to be. And again, it's funny you say that because I've had the chance and the benefit of hindsight of watching motion picture more times than I care to admit. But in and of itself, not that bad.
Exactly. I said that in my review.
But unfortunately, it is the reason the stigma of the odds sticks with Trek like a damn freaking bat clinging to some victim. It is what it is, man, because the odds are odd. They are. Oofa, especially 5. God damn, that's bad. Anyway.
But if the odds are odd, what is your next even, sir? What is number 8?
Number 8 talks about what we talked about earlier as far as back-to-back. So there it is right there. The first one is the one that wasn't on your list.
Yes.
So, besides the fact that Chicago basically made this a completely different layout for the cheering and booing of these people, because that's what Chicago does. I don't care what Phil says. He was in a WrestleMania main event here. Damn it.
I was just going to say, as much as I love me some CM Punk, this match is proof positive that Phil Brooks was in a WrestleMania main event. Shut up, bro.
Even if he was involved in the freaking entrances, he was still involved, damn him. And you can see his face on the car. He's just going, God damn it, what the hell am I doing here? So, you know what? But you were there, Phil. I wasn't in a WrestleMania main event.
And then 2 years later, he's winning Money in the Bank. So you know what?
Right in front of my ass and everybody. That's right. Almost won the year before. But anyway, yeah. So Cena Michaels at number 8. Cena Hunter number 8. Excuse me. Cena Michaels at number 7. Because it was supposed to be Hunter, both of them. It just didn't work out because Hunter's quad is not cooperative. No. Not as uncooperative as father-in-law's quads, but
I was going to say, at least Hunter only tore one quad each time.
Right.
Whereas Vince went balls deep and was like, screw this, I'm going to tear them both at once.
Well, because, God forbid Vince let his son-in-law have a spotlight. God forbid he let his son-in-law have the proper show. Oh, wait, he did that already. God forbid he let his son-in-law be a Oh, wait, he did that too. God forbid he outdo his son. Oh, wait, no, Vince did that too. God damn it. Whatever, Vince. Anyway.
At least Triple H wasn't Durag Helmsley.
You know what? Here, I'm gonna briefly. There you go. That was good. Because Durag McMahon is on the worst list of everything we ever do worst. Because God, when you out bad Vince Russo as a world champion, you doing some effort. Tell you what. God damn.
For real, bro.
For no shit, bro. That's a straight shoot, bro. Anyway, I'm unstoppable.
But back to this, bro.
Yeah, please, bro. Okay. Cena Hunter, again. The only reason I have it as low as I do, but still on my list, because it ties into Cena Michaels, which was so good. This was the one main event that Hunter was involved in that I go, oh, not a good look, Granddad. And I say that because press conference, going into it. And he goes, it's around this time, we get the butterflies, we get nervous, we start getting worked up, and I never felt better because it's going to be the easiest night of my life. It's like, okay, so you're saying that if you beat this guy, it's because you should have, and it's a cakewalk. But then you lose. If you lose to this guy and he's such an easy fix, how does that make you look? And I still argue, Jay, to this day, that the only reason that the DX stuff came into our viewpoint on screen that night was because there was a realization of I shot myself in the foot here by burying Cena going into this. And the crowd's still with me, but I'm going to lose this match. I need to come out looking strong. And if I tap out to him, which he did, I think, yeah, I got to have something to build off of after this. And 2006, man, that nostalgia was there, and people were ready for DX to be back. So, yeah, at WrestleMania, there you go. Very good.
People were ready for DX to be back in 2002 when we thought we were going to have it.
Yes.
And Triple H pulled the wool over our eyes.
Yes, he
having
did.
Been the guy who attacked Shawn.
Yep. Which we talk about rivalry.
4 more years.
Yeah, it was like waiting for a presidential election, except it turned out better for the most part. Depends what you're talking about. Anyway, but yeah, these two, Cena battling DX back-to-back years. Again, it should have been Hunter both years, but man, Shawn Michaels and John Cena turned what could have been maybe not chicken shit, but maybe day-old chicken salad into frickin' let's put it on our plate every night of the week chicken salad, because that match was so goddamn good. But Cena and Hunter, even though the crowd ended up making it evolve the way it did, even though Hunter went into it burying Cena, they had a hell of a story that they told at the Allstate Arena, the Rosemont Horizon, whatever you want to call it. And again, WrestleMania 22 is very much hit and miss on most of the card. But the World Championship matches, very much compared to the year before, both hit on point. And that's hard for me to admit now because of how much I've shit on the World Heavyweight Championship triple threat match for all these years. Yeah. But that match and Cena and Hunter definitely both hit on point. So
this one wasn't that far removed from my top 10.
Right.
It was still top 20. I had this one at number 16.
Well, there you go. Good stuff.
So, spoiler for the rest of the viewers out there. You've already got my 11.
Yes, now you're 16. So number 6, while not the first appearance of Mr. WrestleMania, because we just talked about Shawn Michaels at number 7, is the first appearance of the guy that defined WrestleMania, The Undertaker, and AJ Styles in the main event of night 1 of what turned into the first 2-night WrestleMania, and what turned out to be officially Undertaker's last match as we tape this at 10:55 on 3/16 day. Retirements aren't always a thing in wrestling. We know this to be true. Anyway, with him, I'm pretty sure at this point. But, again, I said that about Shawn Michaels, too. So there's that. I've never seen it. Well, we also have Ric Flair. Anyway.
Ric Flair's retirement is Bruno status.
Right. Which Bruno? The Disney movie? The fact that Bruno Sammartino passed away and Flair's retirement will never die, apparently. Anyway. This... You talk about the story behind it, as well as the match, the fight, let's be honest.
Yes.
Coming off like it did. There's so much story here. We're in a pandemic. WrestleMania is in jeopardy. We have to move to a warehouse for the majority of the card for both nights. We have a 2-night Mania for the first time ever, though we've argued it should have been 2 nights about, 35 years ago.
Should have been 2 nights the year prior, then people wouldn't still be stuck in New Jersey from the transit shit.
Right.
I still say to this day, that is why Mania is now 2 nights.
Oh, it has to be. It has to be. And
got nothing to do with the pandemic.
No.
Got nothing to do with the fact that there's a men and a women's Royal Rumble, so they both need a main event each night.
Right.
It's got to do with that. Yeah. That incident doesn't happen in New Jersey. We're still on 1-night WrestleMania.
That's a fair argument, and I don't dispute it whatsoever. But, you and Noah are going to do this going into next year's Mania. Greg and I already did it. WrestleMania 4 should have been 2 nights. God damn, was that a long night? Woo!
Don't remind
So,
me.
I got your schedule all laid out, dude. We're ready to go. Anyway, just wait. Anyway, so you have the 2-night becoming a thing. You have what do we do when we can't do what we were supposed to do?
Mm-hmm.
Cinematic. You had this one, and you had Cena and Bray Wyatt on the other side of it, which again doesn't make the list, but I'll mention just because of how batshit crazy it was, even though it wasn't even the main event. Still, always makes I'll mention because it should have been so much worse, and it turned out to be pretty damn good.
It just goes to show what Bray can do when he's allowed to be creative.
Mm-hmm. But we digress on that. Please buy that shirt. Matter of fact, buy Bray's shirts. Give the man some income because I don't think he's going to get some for Mania this year. As we tape this now, anyway. And then they have this unbelievable fight, and Undertaker prevails. Literally rides off into the sunset on the motorcycle. The unholy trinity defeats AJ Styles when you figure it's elements of the Dead Man, the Badass, and Mark himself. The only time AJ Styles was buried on television where he actually didn't come out of it worse than he was. Looking at you, Dixie Carter. That's right. That's right.
I won't.
Yeah. Boom, pipe bomb. Give a fuck. It's true though.
Aubrey.
Yeah. I'm still mad about that from last week, but you damn it, Aubrey. Anyway.
Weren't even be assigned official. You still
right.
screwed Jarrett.
That's right. Hey, you know what? I didn't really go off on this too bad the other night on open mic night, but I'm gonna do it now. Cassidy tapped her on the shoulder and then dropped in front of her. If you're gonna do the Eddie gimmick, at least do it right, both of you. Fucking hell. Anyway.
But we digress.
We're gonna keep digressing throughout this whole 2 hours. It's okay. And then the match is so well done, laid out. We fade into the end of night 1, and then you watch the Last Ride documentary, and you hear that Undertaker lost his brother, leading up to a match where he's got to fight in a graveyard. Even the Undertaker's getting mind fucked by that. Like at this point, he's got to be the one to call his mama and say one of your children is gone. That's there is no worse phone call to have to make. Period. End of sentence. Or receive. Yeah, exactly. And Undertaker had to do that knowing, in all likelihood, that that's going to be his last ride, his last hurrah. And when you also think about the spot that he freaking near Goldberg himself on the hearse window, and the fact that they did stop that filming at that point to clean him up and let him recover, and you find out how long that match took to actually put together and actually get ready for prime time. If it's not number one for those reasons, it's just because it's WrestleMania main event and there's so many good choices. But I can't, as much as Undertaker had so many big, I mean, when you have 25 matches at WrestleMania, you're going to have a lot of big moments. But this one being his last one, I think was fitting. Much more fitting than he and Roman, although had that been it with the hat and everything being in the ring, I'm okay with it. This one was so much more fitting for me.
Yeah, I mean, clearly it didn't make my top 10.
Right.
It did make my top 20. I'm not going to say where I want people to come back.
Right.
But the one thing that really kind of did irk me about the match, and I understand where the world was and what had to be done.
Right.
But the fact that it did play out so much like a movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's like dialogue and stuff in between the match,
Right. Yeah.
Traditionally, yes, the competitors talk to each other in the ring, but we can't hear what all's being said.
Right.
But because it was cinematic, because it was shot the way it was shot, everything was like watching it on an AMC, Cinemark or whatever, Regal, big screen theatrical presentation.
Yeah.
And as much as they put into it, as great as it was, like I said, still came in my top 20.
Right.
It removed me from the match just a little bit.
Okay.
Because it's so technically done.
Yeah, so cinematic. Yeah,
That's the only problem I had with it.
That's fair.
It's like I literally wanted to pause, rewind, pop some popcorn, and sit there as I'm watching it because it legit played out like a movie.
Yeah.
And then the run in from the OC and everything. It's just like,
yeah. That's where
the ninjas. It's like, come on, bro. Am I watching Undertaker AJ or a freaking bad kung fu movie?
Freaking ninja druids.
What the hell? You feel me on that?
No, I totally do. I totally do. I just, again, we have 41 matches to choose from, y'all. It was rough. It was rough.
But again, you gotta factor it into the time frame and the COVID era, and like we mentioned about the Iron match earlier. You put that match on in front of that WrestleMania 12 crowd.
Yeah, it
goes over like a fart in church.
Yeah.
People over here talking about can we get Taker Giant Gonzalez again?
Right. Yeah.
But for the time and the place and what was going on in the world, it worked.
Yep. Exactly.
You even try to put that match on today. I don't know if it goes over as big because fans are allowed back in.
I think
can see people in live arenas. We can have 70,000, 80,000 in SoFi, whatever the record-setting sellout crowd is going to be.
Right.
I don't know if that match goes over as well today as it did then.
Yeah, it's very much a product of its time, and it works for its time. And I think it holds up today, just not being presented live today. That's the difference.
Yeah.
All right. Number 5 is the first triple threat on my list.
Okay.
Technically.
I know where you're going with it.
For WrestleMania 31, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns in the main event in Northern California versus Seth Rollins. Just kidding, he cashed in. Yeah. You talk about a WrestleMania story going in that had all the makings of a wet fart in church. Okay? Nobody wants Roman to be here.
Nope.
Lesnar only announced he resigns with the company that week. People are thinking he's on his way. I was like, oh, fuck, we're going to get Roman for sure as champion now. And then it's like, oh, wait a minute. Lesnar might win this thing after all because he resigned. They're at NorCal, which, for me is just bad anyway. But and earlier
how are you doing in the Cup playoffs? How are we doing there? Are you going to make it this year?
That's right. Everybody at the SEP Center, how y'all doing today? Fuck y'all. Anyway. And earlier in the night, Mr. Money in the Bank does the Money in the Bank usual and drops a match to probably the greatest RKO in history. Not named Evan Bourne, to be fair.
Yeah, I was going to say, Evan Bourne's.
Although, hey, RKO out of a curb stomp midair was pretty goddamn good, too. So, yes, out of a shooting star press is just ungodly dangerous, yes, but still a sight to see. And Lesnar and Reigns, to their credit, went against that crowd and beat the dog out of each other. More so Lesnar over Reigns, man. Reigns took a beating in this match. and kept coming back and kept coming back. And Lesnar just was getting flummoxed. And then he gets bludgeoned pretty bad too. And all of a sudden, the music hits. And here comes Rollins running like Speedy Gonzalez down that ramp, which at WrestleMania 31 was a hell of a feat. That was a big-ass ramp. And hands the briefcase to the referee. You're going, no way, no way. And they make the announcement, and we have a triple threat, and Money in the Bank's being cashed in the main event of WrestleMania. And then he wins.
First time ever, right?
First time, so far only time.
Yeah.
That the Money in the Bank has been cashed in, successfully or not, during WrestleMania. So, such a wow moment. And again, we talked about Brian earlier. We're going to talk about him again later. Watching a guy that I, watched grow on the indies, like Tyler Black, Seth Rollins did, having him stand there over Brock Lesnar because he was down at ringside, didn't take the fall because of the triple threat scenario. But Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman down at ringside. Roman Reigns, the golden boy of the Anawahi family, takes the fall. And Indy darling Seth Rollins at the top of that ramp in front of Aaron and everybody in the No DQ team holding the WWE Championship over his head. It's like, it was such a great moment. So fucking cool. And again, heist of the century, as it was called on the commentary. Hard to argue with that call. Seth Rollins stole the damn title. He stole the damn show out from under everybody that night. Figure Undertaker makes his comeback after losing the streak. You figure AJ Lee ultimately wrestles her last match. You figure that Nikki Bella has her last official WrestleMania match that night. There's so many things going on at WrestleMania 31. The first WrestleMania not to have a number attached to it, by the way, which is now a every year thing. And Seth Rollins is the defining moment. And I think that's too cool. That's wonderful. That, my friend, was the last one we don't share.
Okay.
For the record. The next four we share, just not in the same spots.
Okay.
And I will start it off by having my number 4 is the one you ranked number 1.
Wow.
And again, stories and matches syncing up to make beautiful music together. There was no greater story than the streak versus the career of Mr. WrestleMania. At least at this point.
Mm-hmm.
These two, along with Triple H, the next 2 years, were the last outlaws, the last vestiges of an era that you and I really came into our own as people and as fans of the business. The Monday Night War / Attitude / Nitro era was our jam. And these two gentlemen, along with Triple H, like I said, really helped shape that. As much as it was about Steve Austin and Vince McMahon, and it was, those two, especially main eventing WrestleMania as they did. You figure of the entire story you talked about over the course of 6 years, it was the only time that story was the main event of WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Should it have been 2 years later? If it's not Rock Cena, probably. And even then, there's an argument for my money. Because, yes, yeah. Rock beating Cena was monumental for Rock and for John. But Undertaker, Triple H, and Michaels refereeing a Hell in a Cell match, end of an era, I don't know how you get a bigger feels moment than the three in the top of that ramp. Even with Rock winning, even with Cena in the aisleway just dejected. That moment with the three of them at the top of that ramp was just...
Yeah.
And it really starts It started in the '07 Rumble, yes, and it evolved in the '08 Rumble and the match prior to this. But this match, closing WrestleMania, closing Sean's career, Saudi Arabia, quiet you, was the real moment where you went, man, the streak. And it wasn't even the fact that it was The Undertaker in the main event. It was the fact that 2 years prior, yes, the streak was in the main event, but it was for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
This was said as the main event is because it's Sean's career versus the streak.
See, in this match right here is why I argue that Flair Michaels should have been the last match at 24.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because a lot of people will be like, but you don't want the last image to be Flair losing and retiring and blah, blah, blah. And then 2 years later, what do? The last image is Sean losing, has to retire, blah, blah, blah. And it's not near as emotional.
No.
Don't get me wrong. Great match.
Yes.
My number one.
Yeah.
But it doesn't come with the emotion.
No, it doesn't.
You know, especially when you watch him mouth those words, and I know I'm going to get you choked up again, but damn it, I'm sorry, I love you.
Yeah.
This match doesn't have that emotion.
Not to the degree. No. But
I'm not saying it's not emotional.
Yeah, right.
But it doesn't have that level of emotion.
Right. Yeah, it's very intense, especially the end when Sean just, refuses to die, refuses to stay down, and he claws himself up on the Undertaker and does the Undertaker. Let me be fair to the right party. The Arn Anderson symbol of the chokeout or whatever, and then he rears back and slaps Undertaker across the face. And Undertaker for that moment just loses the emotional control and just the eyes roll back. He's like, "All right, motherfucker, fine." And he jumping tombstones like, "God damn! I think he tried to kill him for real." And he did. He killed the career, we thought. Quiet, you Saudi Arabia. Shush. Leave that one where it be.
Shush, please.
Hey, if Hunter's Peck and Kane's mask can be left back there, so can Sean's retirement. Anyway, and I said what I said, and I mean it too. The four of them will tell you the same damn thing. That was a train wreck. But anyway, yeah, it's emotional, but you're right. And the only thing I will argue against Flair and Sean main eventing is because if Undertaker Edge is earlier in the night, we have to stop the show earlier or for a pause for the pyro to be put out. Because Undertaker pyro done made things bad. For some people anyway. Second degree burns were a thing. All right. Well, number 3.
Rain delay 1 year, so we can have a small delay for a fire.
Same state too, ironically enough. What the hell, Florida? Anyway, that's why Disneyland's the best, because Disney World is in a crazy state. Anyway, saying that in California, yeah, that didn't sound hypocritical at all or bullshit. Anyway, oofa. All right, number 3 is a rematch from my number 9. You talk about story here. Okay, so the match is awesome. You talked about it. It was high up on your list, I think, right?
It was lower on my list.
It was lower on your list. Okay, I'm sorry. But
bottom half.
But the story, again, we go into 99 WrestleMania. Austin regains the championship. The feud with Vince lingers for another few months. And then Vince is turned to babyface because the world is weird. And Austin gets run over by a car by somebody who did it for The Rock. No, he didn't. Howard Triple H. And he's gone for a year. Almost a full year he's gone. And The Rock and Triple H become the damn WWF, as Triple H put it, in the year 2000. And then Steve returns. But then Kurt Angle becomes the WWF champion, thanks to Rikishi again. Rikishi, stop helping The Rock. Just stop. No. No more helping. No more helping Dwayne Jr. Just
No
knock that
quiche,
shit
that's
off.
a bad quiche.
No quiche, that's a bad quiche. I still say he messed up at No Mercy because he had so much blood kicked on his face from Austin beating the shit out of him because he couldn't see who he was kicking. Anyway. But then we hit Royal Rumble. And we hit another New Orleans show. And other than the monumental moment of Drew Carey making his WWF debut, Stone Cold wins the Rumble. Like, ooh, Austin going to be the main event in Texas. Okay. But it's against Kurt Angle. So, okay. And then we find out Rock and Angle are going to find a way out. I'm like, okay, well, here we go. This is how it's going to be a thing. Okay. And The Rock becomes champion. So we're getting a rematch, but this time they're both baby faces going in. This time we have to choose. And the story in this match, yes, even the botched heel turn that only really botched as it evolved over the course of the rest of the year. If we're being honest with ourselves, in the moment it's happening, I'm trying to lay out of the room that night. My chair was over there. So I'm sitting over there watching the TV. And my jaw is just on, like, what? Because Steve Austin has aligned himself with Vince McMahon. Like Paul Heyman famously said, he has sold his soul for the WWF Championship. And it's like, well, wouldn't any of us do the exact same goddamn thing if we got to? To be the WWF champion? I mean, hell.
The corporate Texas rattlesnake.
Right? And for that, I will give the credit for the first, we'll say 2 months after WrestleMania. Because he wasn't being Huggy Bear. He wasn't being, singing Kumbaya and shit. He was evil. He was twisted. He was aligning with Hunter as well.
I was going to say, that's because you had the 2-man power trip until Hunter injured his quads the first time.
Yeah, because really think about that. Hunter goes down with the injury. Other than the brilliance that was TLC 3 that week on SmackDown, Austin's run from that moment flipped a switch. And granted, he also got banged up shortly after that, as did Kurt Angle, which is why they had to go into the whole comedy thing with the two of them for a while. Granted, he got banged up himself, shortly after Hunter went down. He figured the King of the Ring match with, Benoit and Jericho, Booker T putting through a table, banged up his elbow. Kurt Angle's also getting, himself beat to shit by literally throwing Shane McMahon through glassware about 45 times at King of the Ring. So the comedy thing evolved the way it did with him. But man, the initial moment, sitting here in this room for real, watching that unfold on television, like, no, Steve. And the match, as good as 19 ended up being between the two of them, the best match they had as far as the match itself. This one, I think, had the best story thread of the match. Because these two were willing to do anything, Steve more so as it turned out, to best the other. So that's why it ranks so high for me.
That's fair. I mean, you talk about how Angle was the champion and had to have the match with Rock at No Way Out. Imagine if we had Angle Austin at this Mania.
Yeah.
We talk about what Michaels did for Cena at 23. Angle for sure would have brought that Stunning Steve Rainmaster back out of him.
Yeah.
Knowing that Angle could protect and take care of his neck.
Yeah.
We could have had some serious Matt Classic at 17. No. Angle, Austin.
True. Yeah. I
mean, this was the way to go. This was the money match. Don't get me wrong, but
right. The benefit and the burden of hindsight will always be what they will be.
I mean, because you figure Angle was one of, if not the top heels at that time.
Yeah.
So you would have had a face heel match instead of face in the main event.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Angle had a Mania main event, except for maybe the one with Lesnar.
At that point, he hadn't. No. Yeah. But also keep in mind the emotion of the turn. Now, granted, Vince helping Austin against Kurt Angle isn't near as effective because Kurt Angle really wasn't Vince's boy at this point. Again, there's a lot of things that if you pull one thread, everything changes. But people still, and I don't disagree with them shitting on the heel turn and the subsequent invasion storyline that went the way it went. But I find a lot of good in it, and I know I'm very biased because I was a big fan of it.
Same.
The Austin Angle stuff that came during 2001, I thought was way better than people projected it was going to be.
Yeah.
So, all right, number 2 and number 1 were higher up on your list, if I remember right, but they were also both discussed as one comparing to the other on your list, and we did talk about that. They would come up. For a guy that hates triple threat matches, number 2 and number 1 are triple threats, so that's scary.
Yeah.
But again, the story, man, the story and the match of number 2. You've got Big Dave, who you and I are just not all that fond of when it comes to in the ring.
Nope.
Is what it is. You've got the Viper, the undisputed WWE World Heavyweight Champion, who had beaten our guy at this point. I mean, he wasn't your guy at this point, John Cena. And then you've got our buddy Brian, man, who had come off of winning the championship at SummerSlam, thinking he regained it at Night of Champions, going through Hell in a Cell with Orton, dealing with his trainer, his mentor turning on him, and having to defeat Triple H earlier in the night to properly earn the opportunity to be in this match. As great and emotional as the moment was, you did mention earlier, the match was good. I'll even go as far as say the match was great, but it wasn't as great as it could have been because of the need for the rest points, the need for the stoppages with Figure Brian getting injured and Big Dave being at that point 4 years away from full-time wrestling, so, but you can't deny that the story behind the story during and the unbelievable moment after are what make this one of the best main events in WrestleMania history.
Put it to you this way. If the third man in this match was just about anybody other than Brian, it would have been Cena Batista level for me, and I would have turned my back.
Wow. That's pretty bold, but it's not wrong. I don't think.
Because despite my love and adoration for Orton, Batista had no business being in the main event of this match.
No, he didn't.
And for him to come back and be in the main event of WrestleMania, my back would have been turned.
And when you go back and figure, Jay, that the A&E special that aired not this last weekend, but the weekend before last, was Triple H Batista's rivalry. In fact, he came back again, but seemingly knew his place this time. He wanted to close out his career with Hunter, and it wasn't the last match. And I think it turned out better than a lot of people figured it would. I think that Triple H and Batista at WrestleMania 35, as long as that WrestleMania was, as crazy as the timing of that show got, I think it told a much better closing story for Dave than anything else could have. Because it wasn't the last match and it wasn't him, being driven into the spotlight against our will. So, with that being said, I did say it was triple threat at number 1. I did say it was comparing to the WrestleMania 30 match, so it's kind of obvious at this point. Yes, Jeff Meacham on a Dad's Not Always on Wrestling show ranked a triple threat match at number 1 and number 2 on a top 10 list.
Damn.
Note in the logs, kids. But
Duly noted.
But
hashtag Statboy approved.
That's right. Well, I don't have their graphic handy, but it's okay. How can you argue against the story behind these three being the best, one of the best stories they ever told? How can you argue against the battle between the members of the clique that had been, at this point, almost 10 years in the making? Figure Hunter joins the company in 95.
Yep.
You figure Chris Benoit, who just over 4 years prior had willingly left a version of the Big Gold on the table with, I believe it was Jody Hamilton sitting at the table. I could be wrong. It may have been Nick Patrick himself. I don't know. But either way, voluntarily walks out of the company as the world champion going, nope, I ain't putting up with this bullshit anymore. And wins the Royal Rumble. The first person to go coast to coast in a proper 2-minute interval Royal Rumble. Yes, Shawn did it 95. That was like a 30-second interval or whatever, or a minute. It was a shorter Rumble than people remember because it was such a great moment with him and Bulldog. The elements are all there for a unbelievable finish to what you still consider, as we watch this at 11:30 on 3/16 day, the greatest WrestleMania of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least the last great WrestleMania. Let me be clear on my verbiage.
The last great.
Yeah, the last great WrestleMania. Let me be clear on that verbiage there.
And again, top to bottom card.
Yeah, exactly.
Not moments.
No.
Matches from
Top
the start of the show until
Yes.
the final bell.
Yeah, and even then, the final bell here and the moment after. You talked about it with Eddie, with the confetti, with everything going on with Benoit. When you think about how monumental the moment was in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
and you think about just under 2 years later, we get Eddie ripped from us.
Yeah.
And you think about 2 years after that, we can't even acknowledge this moment no more. Officially.
Yeah.
We do.
That's why I made sure to share it in the group chat on the anniversary, because as of this year, that was 19 years ago.
It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy to me.
And that moment no longer exists as far as WWE is concerned.
And for my money, it's the greatest story, match, main event of WrestleMania ever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a shame that we can't, we can't talk about it. Yeah, we can. We will. We always will.
Yeah.
But think about that, though. The closings of the decades, they all hit pretty well on point. 10 with Brett and Yoko, making up for what had been 9.
Because Hogan had to be Hogan.
Yeah. Hulkamaniac in charge here, but goddamn was that bad. 20 with the triple threat, 30 with the triple threat, 40, Philly. Good luck with that. Y'all got some shit to follow. As do we on this channel and the multiverse of media, because yes, it's March 20th, which is the anniversary of WrestleMania 10, ironically enough. Crazy that was almost 30 years ago.
Yeah.
God damn. We getting old, dog. Anyway.
I've been old.
Yeah, well,
you're catching up to me, but
that's fair. That's fair. I turned 40 this year, so that's a fair argument.
And I turned 47 in a few months.
There you go. But like I said at the outset, between now and April 6th, which is the Thursday after WrestleMania, there are 2 days that I myself have no official commitments on this channel, on this multiverse. Because in the interim, we've got 2 episodes of Staff Boy Sports featuring Dory Lou on Tuesdays, both tomorrow and next Tuesday at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 Pacific. Both weeks, we've got The Greg Cherry Show at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 Pacific on Wednesdays. You, sir, as far as I know, have even more Throwback Thursday content to throw at us.
Yes.
I am just loving the shit out of these. I'm not going to lie. As hard as it is for me to go back and watch my own shit, some of this whole time, it's like, oh, I'm so much better now. I'm so proud of myself for improving. Because it's rough. It's rough. It's rough. Yeah.
You know, I mean, I rewatched back a lot of my old stuff too as I was trying to cut it stuff. Dad's has been the trickiest one, if I'm being 100%, because of filming and the elements and the cameraman we had at the time. There's so much trimming I have to do to Dad so that we can try to stay in the frame. That's been the hardest one to do.
Right.
But you know, man. It's been fun revisiting these.
Yeah, it has.
You know, I mean, episode 3s went up last week.
Yes.
Episode 4s are going to go up this week. Episode 4 of Dad's was the first one you weren't on, and we had a special guest.
Oh God, that's right. Oh my God.
So for those of you that remember, good on you. For those of you that don't remember, make sure you check out Throwback Thursday to see the special guest Dad. And if you know, you know. But if you don't know, well, you already knew that.
Oh my God. Oh, now is that special guest on episode 5 as well for Mania Week?
I don't recall.
Okay, well, let's wait and see.
I'm gonna have to go back when I get there.
But here we go.
I know 4 was his debut. I don't think he came back for a couple more episodes.
Okay.
And then the 3-man team became a thing.
Oh Lord.
You know, anyway, Coach JR and Keen over here at ringside.
Yeah, right.
And I will let the fans determine who's doing that one.
Yeah, that is y'all's call when we get there, because goddamn.
But yeah, Throwback Thursdays have been fun to go through. And, you know, I don't know how many times I've said it on the air, so I'll go ahead and take this moment while we're discussing it. Thank you to James Hebert. Thank you to Noah Foster.
Yes.
And a special thank you to Aaron Rift for allowing me the access and the content from y'all's channels.
Yep.
To be able to help put this stuff all together.
Absolutely. That is every Thursday.
Q&AV and the old reviews as part of this has been a huge help as far as ratings go.
Yep.
Which is at the end of the day what this has all been about, is trying to get numbers up on my channel.
Yep. And again, we are pre-taping this.
316 day if y'all haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah, he's close. To that number. He may have already hit it by the time this goes live.
By the time this goes live, it's very possible I will have hit it. But if I haven't, keep it up, people.
Yeah. And trust me, if he does hit it.
The new goal is Sacrifice this coming Friday, which we'll get to in a moment.
We'll get to it right now, as a matter of fact.
So we might actually get there before that.
Yes. And yes, I was going to lead in by saying that Throwback Thursday is the last bit of content we have going up in the next 2 weeks that's not first run brand new shizit. So, because Sacrifice this Friday, Noah and I believe James, I could be wrong, will be doing the live commentary on the watch along, as they do, on our Impact and AEW shows. We appreciate the hell out of that, by the way. The next day is now, it's probably going to be a lot more fun than my little kickoff thing on Monday next week. So we'll go ahead and just give it all the love because, man, this shit is going to be ridiculous. But I'm going to enjoy. You know what? I invited Greg on last week's Greg Cherry show. So I'm curious if he shows up because wrestling themed karaoke is all of our jams at one point or another. I hope the kiddo is available. I really do because there's content. I don't know if it's still up on your channel. I haven't had a chance to go back and look yet, but man, having him do the wrestling entrances at the age he did it was so awesome and fun to have unfold. I'd like to see if he knows the themes, like the actual words of the songs, because that'd be fun shit to figure. But yeah, as we mentioned last Saturday, JJ, you can break it down if you want as far as the specials menu is concerned there in the lower third there.
Yes. 1 second here.
No, you're good.
So here's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be, for a $5 donation, you get to spin the wheel.
Right.
We have 2 wheels.
Ooh.
One that's prospectively going to have all of our names on it,
mm-hmm.
and one that's going to have separate categories.
Ooh.
Raw, SmackDown, AEW, NXT, Hall of Famer, etc.
Yes.
You see deceased superstar. You see indie wrestler.
Oh, boy.
So we're going to have 2 wheels going with all of that on there, right?
Okay.
So for a $5 spin, we spin 1 wheel. We see who comes up. We spin the other wheel. We see what theme comes up.
Damn.
And the person singing gets to pick their song.
Oh, okay. Okay. I like that a little bit better because, man, any person would be like, ooh, okay.
For $20, that's where Pick Your Poison comes in. For a $20 donation, you, our viewers, get to pick who sings.
Oh,
and
boy.
you get to pick what we have to sing.
Oh, my God.
Based off of what we spin. We're still going to spin that wheel.
Okay.
But then you get to pick what song we get to sing out of that theme.
So basically, when they pick their poison, they spin the category wheel.
Yeah.
And if they land on Impact, the viewer can pick Dixie Carter's theme or whatever.
Yeah.
Right, okay, I got you.
AJ Styles.
AJ Styles.
Jarrett,
Jeff Jarrett, that's it.
And
then
okay.
And then
for
$50. Oh my God.
And that's only because this person has already opened mouth and inserted foot about it. For a $50 super chat, Noah will do the Too Cool dance.
And yes, he won't be doing it by himself. 2 of us are going to get ripped into that shit. It's going to be a thing.
Yeah. And let's be fair, Meacham.
I know.
You volunteered.
I did.
Quiche on Open Mic Night.
Hey, it's only because
So while you're over here on the Greg Cherry show the other day, talking about, I'm probably going to end up being Rikishi, you volunteered to be Quiche.
I did.
Granted, you don't have to be out there with a thong slapping your ass cheeks. Thank God we don't want to get thrown off of YouTube.
Yeah.
But you volunteered to be Quiche.
Because, hey, I was honorary. I was Oos before the Sammy was made honorary. That's the only reason I chose it.
What I think would be funny is if he is there with us. I think Statboy should be the other member. Because Noah and Statboy are both very slim guys as opposed to the rest of us.
That's fair.
And then you've got the big man in the middle as Quiche.
I co-sign. We'll do that. That's fine. Just, yeah, definitely. We definitely got to talk Mikey into that, though, because that's going to be a challenge. So we'll see.
But yeah, so
and
that is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, now, and that's just this coming Saturday.
Yeah.
Sunday, I may or may not be on the Nerdy Gear review. I don't know because my schedule is what it is with the mouse and everything. But then we get to Monday, and then shit gets real. WrestleMania week officially kicks off at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 Pacific on the 27th, 1 week from today, on most of our channels. Aaron's being what he is about it. Because he has his Raw recap. He just won 2 live streams in one day. I get it. That's fine. Algorithms are a muckerfather on YouTube, so I understand that. So that's Monday. Tuesday, in addition to Stat Boy Sports Bar, we will also actually, it's going to be Stat Boys, it's going to be Dory Lou's Sports Bar that day, according to what Mikey said.
That's right. I remember hearing about that
last week. So, yes, next week's Stat Boys Sports Bar will be Dory Lou's Sports Bar, which is why the Sports Bar will actually go live at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, and bleed right into this Noah Foster hosted triple threat of the ladies of the Championship Network Multiverse of Media previewing and predicting WrestleMania. That'll be Dory Lou, that'll be Cece, and we're hoping for Natalie as well. We're still working on that negotiation, if you will, much like we're working on Cece negotiation for Hall of Fame, apparently. Wednesday, the Greg Cherry Show, as I mentioned, and then we get into Watch Along Frenzy.
Yes, we go into overdrive.
Yeah, a little bit. This is where we get Noah Foster the lifetime supply of Mountain Dew and throw lozenges because goddamn he's gonna need it. Noah and James will be calling Impact New Japan Pro Wrestling present Multiverse United Only the Strong Survive next Thursday, March 30th, 8 p.m. Pacific is the start time on Fight, I believe, is where they're broadcasting this, as well as New Japan World. So we'll probably go live at 7 Eastern, maybe even 7:30, just to give us a little bit of a cushion. It depends if they have like a pre-show or countdown to Impact, whatever the hell version of the show they're calling it. I imagine they'll have something, but we will probably go live between 7 and 7:30 Eastern on that, or 7:30 Pacific, excuse me. It's so weird having it start time be Pacific because it's the Pacific. It threw me off. Then the first of 2 double streams.
Yes.
As far as actually, the other one's not a double stream. It's just 2 in one day. But Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor, here live in Los Angeles at the Galen Center on the campus of USC. And then the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony, which as of this recording features Rey Mysterio Jr., the Great Muta, very likely Stacy Keibler, if we're hearing our rumors correctly. So that starts at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific, with I think bell time for Ring of Honor being 7 o'clock Eastern. So going to be a long day. Yes. And again,
of course, Noah and James will be on the call for Supercard of Honor.
Yes.
And then Noah and I will be taking over the reins for the Hall of Fame ceremony.
Yeah, and again, for those of you, like, why are they watching long Hall of Fame? Because SmackDown will be on during Supercard of Honor, so we can't do that. Number one. Number 2, Hall of Fame, it sounds like an odd thing to watch along. It's probably going to be definitely JJ and Noah on the main focus of the commentary, but we're all going to give our feedback on the Hall of Fame inductees because they all deserve it.
Absolutely. So, it's one of those things for me when it comes down to this, and this was a suggestion I had made to Jeff to do.
Right.
Content.
Right, exactly.
You know, it is WrestleMania weekend.
Yep.
WrestleMania weekend always kicks off with the Hall of Fame.
Yes, sir.
So for us to sit there, watch the superstars get inducted, be able to relay to you, what they're saying, because maybe you're at work and you're not able to tune in and watch it. Right. But you can have the podcast running and hear the chatter.
Right, exactly.
Rey Mysterio is talking about his times in WCW, Filthy Animals, being LWO but not LWO.
Right.
He's saying how much he still loves Dominic despite everything. Conveying to y'all what their messages are.
Yes.
While you can't see it.
Yeah.
And then once they're off the stage, thoughts on the speech as they get ready to set up whoever the next person's going to be.
Because I know a lot of our viewers don't subscribe to Peacock or WWE Network. They talk about all the time in the chat rooms during the watch along. So,
so this is our way to convey it to you since you may not be a subscriber.
That's right.
And for us, to give the Hall of Famers the respect that they deserve.
Exactly.
In a way that the fans at the arena won't be, because me and Noah have already said, well, I mean, y'all see Noah anyways. I'm wearing a shirt and tie for this.
Right.
Because that is the way Jeff and I feel the Hall of Fame should be.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'm sure Jeff will be there with a shirt and tie if he's not actually there and hasn't scored a last minute ticket.
Yeah.
And we'll even make sure that it says in the group chats that, you know, shirt and tie required for this event.
That's right. The only reason
James can be James during the Supercard of Honor, but as soon as that goes dark, change into a shirt and tie real quick.
The only reason I wouldn't be is if I was coming straight out of something, be it work, whatever, and I had to rush in and basically throw on my producer's headset. That's really the only reason it would be a thing, to be fair. And even then, I'll have one of my. I should have my polo shirts as we tape this tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I'll wear that if anything.
But I mean, that's going to be the first of 2 double feature days. Then the second double feature day, sir.
Yes. And yes, this is the correct time, y'all at home. Okay. So here's the thing.
Buy the shirt.
Please buy that shirt. I don't know where the hell it is at this point. Teespring, I think. Hand to God, I saw it advertised as 11 a.m. bell time with a 10 o'clock entry into the arena. That is not the case. It is 10 o'clock the show starts here locally, 1 p.m. Eastern, so we're going live the half hour before.
Yeah.
So
I was the one that pointed this out to Jeff because NXT is my NXT, damn it.
Yes, damn it. That's right.
So I noticed that they were promoting stuff for 10 o'clock, and I was like, realize you have us scheduled at 11. The show's going live at 10.
Yes.
We at least need to be going live at 9:30 for pre-show purposes.
No, I agree with it. And that's
realistically, we should probably go at 9, but 9:30 I feel is good enough considering how ungodly early it is for us West Coasters.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, I should say, that's not the case now, but the only reason I was not going to attend this show was because it was going to be so freaking early, and I wasn't about to get up early on a goddamn Saturday, at least not on purpose. Of course, things have changed in the interim of booking that show, so, it is what it is.
Thank you to a friend in the Great White North.
Which I will get to momentarily. I'm just trying to load the graphic because I realized I didn't load the graphic at the time I needed to. That was 100% me. But anyway, as we say, I digress. Buy that shirt again. There it is. Boop, boop, there we go. So the next day, of course, is only 12 days away, man. I can't even freaking believe we're under 2 weeks away from WrestleMania being back in Los Angeles proper. Yes, it's at SoFi Stadium, so it's Inglewood, but it's LA County proper, which is what I told myself when I watched WrestleMania 21. The next time it was in LA County, I would be there. And yes, I will be live on location at SoFi Stadium, and we'll have our WWE team of the Simple Man with Spectacular Voice, Noah Foster, and the Renegade J.J. Williams live on commentary, hoping to, and again, here we go with the hoping to have live, or at least live via Memorex footage of this interaction, because if I don't capture that on video, I'm definitely missing the mark. Well, maybe not this mark, but a mark anyway. I digress. That was a bad dad joke. That was one of the worst I've ever done. That was really, really, really shitty. Anyway, that was fucking god awful. Anyway, yeah, that's all in the span of Saturday. NXT Stand and Deliver, Dad and I meet the Undertaker, and the first night of WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Then we get to go home and try to sleep.
Yeah.
WrestleMania Night 2. Again, same day, the next day, same shenanigans, different day.
Yeah, same commentary team.
Yes. Noah and JJ be on the commentary, yes.
We haven't determined yet if I'm going to be producing and commentating or if we're going to have James producing.
Right.
So me and Noah can just commentate.
Right.
But either way it goes.
Yes. We will see these guys there on the commentary. I'll be popping in as best I can. I mean, I'm sitting in section 550. It shouldn't be too much noise to have to worry about fighting. So,
if you're at SoFi, bring this man a drink.
Seriously, I will put my ticket location on there, at least for night 2. Night 1, I need to actually do a mic night afterwards. I kind of have a little, you got to stay a little bit straight. But night 2, hell with it. Travis driving anyway. Fuck it. Whatever. I don't care.
And then what do we have on Monday, Jeff?
So 2 weeks from today, the dads return, and a topic that JJ I know was very much looking forward to talking about, and we're going to get into that recording hopefully sooner rather than later. The top 10 ECW World Champions. Now, Jeff, are you guys including the ones in WWE? Yes. Are we including anything before Shane Douglas? No. And the reason for that, JJ, is because you and I talked about this. WWE counts the history as everybody after Shane Douglas held that 10 pounds of gold in his hand the night of the ECW holding the NWA Championship Tournament, and then throwing it down in defiance and declaring the Eastern Championship Wrestling Heavyweight Championship the ECW Extreme World Championship. That point all the way to Big Zeke in 2010. Oh, that should be fun just because of that. Just because, like, we have to. Because,
I had such high hopes for Zeke too, but then they did him the way they did him, and it just is what it is.
And again, had he won it any other night than the last night, could have had something come of it. But also, at the end of the day, NXT evolved out of that. So, can't shit on it a whole lot. We can a little bit because we do miss our ECW, without a doubt. So it is what it is. Anyway, then immediately after that broadcast, we have the Raw after Mania, which is always one of the biggest days of the year. And
traditionally speaking,
and as we did with, I forget what show we did that for. So
Raw is 30.
Raw is 30. Thank you. As we did with the 30th anniversary of Raw, there'll be 2 sets of commentaries because the live to everybody in the world except us people that don't get USA Network out here at 5 o'clock will have Noah and James on the commentary. And then at 8 o'clock Pacific, you and I will go live on USA as far as we're concerned and call what has traditionally been one of the craziest days of the calendar year for WWE. So very much looking forward to all that. It's going to be a good, solid, more than a week, really.
Yeah.
Figure the next day will be the No DQ review, where I'm going to be recapping my experience at Mania. I'm going to try very hard to make sure that is able to be posted on the Multiverse at least a day after, so I can actually have that be on our stuff, because I won't be able to talk about it at length, right? Because I'll be popping in throughout the show. But hopefully the No DQ review will be able to be up. And then the next day, I will not be on the Greg Cherry show on April 5th because I'll be at Disneyland with the boy for his birthday. And then I finally get to rest. In theory, for one whole day, because AEW threw a doubleheader at us for the 7th. So,
yes,
man. Again, Jay, WrestleMania always gets us ramped up a little bit more than any other time of the year, but with WrestleMania literally being here in 12 days, with me being able to be on the premises, with you and Noah providing the commentary along the way for the WWE events, it could conceivably be the biggest week, whatever you want to call it, in either of our podcasting history. And I can't wait, man.
Yes, and not to try to take anything away from you or your hosting of the events on your channel.
Yes.
But with the fact that I am 99.9% likely to be monetized by the time we go live for Supercard of Honor.
Yes.
Anybody that is watching this channel, this show on Jeff's channel, I would like to request that you guys, if you enjoy any of this stuff that I have done over the years, whether it is on my own or with Jeff.
Right.
Please come to my channel
Yes,
for
agreed.
one of these events and just show me some love with some super chats over there, because I finally will be able to begin receiving them.
Yes, exactly.
If you have ever enjoyed anything I have presented to you, please come start showing me some love so that I can
Absolutely.
begin making some money. I'm not trying to take money out of Jeff's pocket.
Well, no,
I know how much he looks forward to and receiving your guys' super chats as well, but I know that he does not hold against me asking for a little bit of love to be shown over the course of one of these numerous events
Yeah,
that's
there
going to be
is
going on. You
so
figure
much.
you've got, like you said, Impact New Japan, you've got Super Card of Honor, you've got the Hall of Fame, you've got Stand and Deliver, Night 1, Night 2, Raw After Mania. 7 shows in 5 days. That doesn't even count open mic night.
Yep.
There's a lot of opportunity for you to come to my channel.
Yep.
Give me some views, some view hours, and hit me up with some super chats, because I wasn't joking when I said I was scared / nervous about all this. I
No,
never
absolutely.
thought I would be, granted not in this chair, I'll be on the couch out there, but I never thought I would be in this position calling WrestleMania.
Right.
So to get some of that love back from y'all, it's just going to make it that much better for me.
Put it this way, if our theory is true, and again, we're taping this on the 16th, if our working thought process is the case and you are monetized by the time we go live for Sacrifice, that karaoke night could be big bank.
It
And
could be, but I don't want to bank on that, which is why I'm pushing for those events Mania weekend.
No, I
Yes,
agree
you're
with that.
absolutely correct there.
I agree with that. And what I was getting at was, the karaoke night has very much been your spearheading and the gestation of the project. So if anybody is watching, if the opportunity is there and you are monetized, throw the super chats on the Casa channel, because they will go up either way. So you might as well give the man the love that, more than earned it by putting the project together. So
I appreciate that.
But with that being said, it is now past noon recording time. It is well past the 2 hours we were hoping to go, so we're going to have to put the show up a little earlier than 6 o'clock.
It happens.
It happens around here. So I am, again, eternally grateful for everything that has come before and is to come in the next 2 weeks. Get out there and support everybody that's on our multiverse. Noah, James, Aaron, Greg, JJ, Mikey, Dory, everybody that's out there. Give them the love on YouTube.
The man himself.
I appreciate that. And get all the visits that you can with me, because once I'm here, it's going to be hard to reach me, because I'm going to be all up in the shit. So thank you all for watching. He's going to be
all up in the Kool-Aid, and he will know the flavor.
Oh, I will know the flavor. It'll be, the background I have is freaking Chargers blue and gold, but it is what it is.
That's just Honey Jack.
yeah. That's just Honey Jack and AMF, and that'll very likely both be a thing. Anyway, let's get off that quickly before it really becomes a thing, because people will do this to me at Mania. Like, it'll actually be a thing, and I'll have to be carried through another show. Which, whatever. He is the Renegade J.J. Williams. Renegade Wrestling for this whole month. God bless him for it, man, because some of the movies you're watching on Renegade's reviews, woofa.
He is the West Coast Professor, Jeff motherfucking Meacham.
That's right. We are the dads, not always on wrestling, although this week we are, and we will see you guys pretty much every day of the next 2 weeks, one way or the other, for wrestling content. We'll be back here in a couple weeks for our Top 10 ECW champions. Until then, this has been the Jeff J.J. Network Multiverse of Media's presentation of the greatest WrestleMania main events of all time, and we will see you guys next time.